what if I told you something truly shocking? Something, well, something so outlandish, it almost sounds like the plot of some weird spy novel.
Go on.
What if one of the most successful, happiest, stable nations on Earth, a place famous for its integrity, its calm politics, its amazing technology, what if it was all just a colossal, elaborate lie?
Okay, that's quite a hook. A lie. How so?
Like a ghost on the map. A forbidden truth hiding this huge, dark, watery secret right there in Northern Europe.
Wow. Okay, that is a striking claim, definitely. And it's one that really makes you want to pause and reflect, doesn't it? Especially because the target, you're saying, is Finland, a country we usually think of as, well, solid, reliable.
Exactly. Finland. I'm Ingling.
And I'm Anit.
And thanks for tuning in to Dreamy Deep Dive. Tonight, we are setting off on a really unusual journey. We're going to try and unmask this conspiracy theory. It's so specific, so completely outrageous, that even though it started as satire, it's actually taken root globally. This persistent, detailed belief that the entire country of Finland, well, that it simply does not exist.
Right. So we're going to spend this time carefully, dissecting the blueprint of this geographical hoax, looking at where the idea even came from, how it sort of snowballed.
Yeah.
And then, importantly, we'll meticulously compare that wild, elaborate fiction to the incredibly rich, fascinating, and, let's be clear, very real reality of the North.
And as always, this is all audio only. We really want you to relax, settle in, or maybe keep your hands comfortably on the wheel if you happen to be driving right now.
Yeah.
We strongly encourage you, really try to move away from the glare of your screen. Just listen. Use this time, this dreamy deep dive, to disconnect visually and, prioritize your mental space.
And that focus on audio, it's more than just like a preference for the show. It's actually a really necessary break in our modern lives. Taking this time away from screens, away from notifications, it genuinely eases eye strain. That's a really common physical complaint these days, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. My eyes feel it all the time.
But the benefits go much deeper than just, physical comfort.
I always appreciate that reminder. I know it can be hard for people to actually commit to putting the screen away sometimes, but the benefits, they really are noticeable when you do it.
They truly are. When you let your visual cortex rest, you actually help facilitate deeper relaxation. And that can dramatically improve your sleep quality. It can help regulate your mood. Simply closing your eyes while you listen, it lets your mind wander constructively. It fosters sharper focus and actually better mental clarity later on, because you've given your brain that chance to process information without constant visual bombardment.
So these quiet moments, listening, they're actually restorative, kind of healing even.
Precisely. They support healthier posture. You're not hunched over a screen. They can reduce the likelihood of tension headaches, and they create this really vital space for mindfulness. So what we're offering here is an experience that's soothing, yes, but also restorative for both your body and your mind.
Okay, so just breathe, let the absurdity and the facts kind of wash over you and allow us to guide you through this mind-bending journey of real and imagined maps.
Sounds good. Where do we start?
Start at the beginning of the genre, really.
Yeah.
When we talk about a whole country or a city just not existing, we kind of need to trace it back, find the foundational principles of these satirical geographical hoaxes.
Right.
And the idea didn't start with Finland. No, it started much smaller, with a single, very specific German city, a city that basically defines the word nondescript.
Mm-hmm.
We are talking about the Bielefeld conspiracy.
Bielefeld.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely essential. Because Bielefeld, well, it provided the proof of concept, didn't it? It set the template for how you could execute this kind of existential joke on a geographical scale.
What's the core claim?
The conspiracy proposes that this city, Bielefeld, located in the German state of North Rhine-Westphalia, a city that, according to all official records, is home to over 341,000 people, is actually nothing more than a fiction, a complete fabrication.
A phantom metropolis, just conjured up and perpetuated by this shadowy sort of omnipotent entity known only as SIE.
SIE, yes.
Which for our listeners who don't speak German simply means they, capital THEY.
They. And they are supposedly working in this deep conspiracy with the authorities, the government, map makers, everyone, to uphold this colossal and kind of pointless illusion.
And the genius of the joke really lies in its logic. It's perfectly circular, self-proving. It hinges entirely on the idea that most people just don't have any common knowledge or memory of the place.
Right. And this logic gets crystallized in three simple but perfectly framed test questions. Questions the general population is pretty much expected to answer no to.
Okay, let's try it. I invite you, listening right now, test yourself. Listen closely. See if you pass the Bielefeld test. Question 1. Do you know anybody from Bielefeld? Question 2. Have you ever actually been to Bielefeld?
Okay.
And question 3. Do you know anybody who has ever been to Bielefeld?
And the conspiracy's structural strength, its backbone, relies on the very high probability that most people, especially outside that immediate region in Germany, will answer no to all 3.
Right. I certainly would.
But the true genius, the reason this thing persists as a joke, is the built-in defense mechanism. It's unassailable. Anyone who answers yes to any of those questions is immediately disqualified.
How so?
Well, they're either in on the conspiracy themselves, right? Tasked with maintaining the facade, or alternatively, they've been so thoroughly deceived by they that their testimony, their memory is just invalid. You can't trust it.
It's truly airtight logic, isn't it? It confirms itself. Once you understand the trick, any map, any road sign, any official document supporting the city's existence just becomes more proof. Proof of the depth and sophistication of the hoax itself.
Exactly. Look how much effort they put into faking it. And the origins of this whole plot are wonderfully mundane, almost accidental, really.
Yeah. How did it start?
The theory was first sort of unleashed onto the world in a Usenet posting. This was back on May 16th, 1994. Remember Usenet?
Vaguely. Ancient internet history.
Pretty much. And it was posted by a computer science student named Achim Held. He was studying at the University of Kiel at the time.
Okay, so a student prank, basically.
It seems so. But the moment that actually sparked the idea happened a year earlier, in 1993. Held's friend was at a student party, met someone who claimed, "Oh, I'm from Bielefeld."
And the friend was like,
His friend, apparently totally surprised, just made this casual statement in German. "Das gibt's doch gar nicht."
and the double meaning.
Exactly. That phrase is beautiful in its ambiguity. On one hand, it just means unbelievable, or you must be kidding. But literally, it translates to that doesn't exist.
Perfect.
It was that second meaning, the literal denial of existence, that Held apparently seized upon. And then it just spread like wildfire through the early German-speaking internet community.
And Held later said there was this other experience that kind of cemented the idea for him, right? Something about driving.
Yeah, he mentioned that he was driving past the area once and the Autobahn exit for Bielefeld, it was closed for maintenance, blocked off.
So it literally was inaccessible.
It gave him that distinct impression, yeah, that the city was utterly inaccessible. It existed only as a name on a sign you couldn't reach. It reinforced that feeling of it being fictional.
And why Bielefeld specifically? Was there something about the city itself?
Well, yeah. The historian Alan Lessoff, reflecting on the phenomenon, he highlighted exactly why Bielefeld was the perfect, unique target. The humor, he argued, derives entirely from the city's profound, almost comical lack of really notable features.
Ouch.
Yeah. Unlike, say, Cologne with its cathedral or Hamburg with its port, Bielefeld just didn't have major global institutions, no world-famous tourist attractions. It's not on a major river. Lessoff famously concluded that Bielefeld essentially defines the word nondescript.
That's harsh, but kind of perfect for the joke. And that feeling is universal, isn't it? Driving past a place exists on the map, but you know absolutely nothing about it. That's why the hoax has such longevity. It's relatable. It's the perfect joke about provincial anonymity.
Absolutely. And it stuck. Even a full decade after the conspiracy first popped up online, the actual mayor's office in Bielefeld was apparently still getting phone calls and emails from people seriously doubting the city's physical existence.
That's amazing persistence.
And the joke even made it into high-level German politics and culture. In this brilliant display of self-aware irony, German Chancellor Angela Merkel herself publicly referenced the conspiracy. This was back in November 2012.
No way. What did she say?
She was talking about a town hall meeting she'd attended in Bielefeld, and she paused mid-speech and added, "if it exists at all."
That's fantastic. That level of official acknowledgement just feeds the whole thing, doesn't it?
It totally validates the joke's success. It becomes this meta-humor loop.
And we've even seen it pop up in modern global media too, right? Like with their football team.
Yeah, exactly. The BBC World Service, even the New York Times, referenced the hoax back in 2025. It was part of their coverage when the local football club, Arminia Bielefeld, surprisingly made it to the DFB Pokal final. That's the German National Cup competition.
So the city's biggest claim to fame became its own non-existence.
Pretty much. And the local community, to their credit, they largely embraced it. Back in 2009, film students at Bielefeld University actually produced a whole feature film based on the conspiracy.
Seriously, funded by?
Partly financed by the university itself and local businesses too. The city council has repeatedly tried to use it or counter it to generate positive national publicity, trying to build an image beyond just the place that doesn't exist.
Which, ironically, only feeds the conspiracy more. The very act of trying to prove their existence becomes the best evidence for the hoax.
Precisely. It's a beautiful trap.
So, okay. Bielefeld is the small, contained, kind of perfect joke. A local absurdity. Simple. But if the Bielefeld conspiracy is like the satirical pilot episode, then the Finland Doesn't Exist theory. That's the blockbuster sequel. It's complicated, mind-bending, like a spy thriller.
Right, that's the crucial transition. It takes the basic concept of non-existence and just scales it up massively, exponentially.
Yeah, it's no longer about a nondescript city of 300,000 people.
No, now we're talking about a vast landmass, a successful nation of 5.6 million people. And that scale, that demands a far more complex explanation than just, bureaucratic apathy or SIE pulling strings.
So what is the core claim here? The forbidden truth of the Finland hoax.
Okay, get ready. The core claim is Finland is not a landmass at all. Instead, it's a vast, open expanse of water, secretly located in the Baltic Sea.
It's just open water, where a country should be.
Open water, and this massive deception, the theory goes, is being maintained entirely by two powerful nations, Russia and Japan, working together.
Russia and Japan.
Okay.
So, unexpected partners. So what about the people? The Finns.
Ah, yes. To maintain this deception, the theory requires that the 5.6 million people who claim to be Finnish are actually just Swedes, or maybe Russians, who are either completely in denial about their true nationality, or even more fantastically, they're sophisticated actors, or maybe even computer-generated personas. Highly elaborate avatars, basically, created and managed just to maintain the illusion of this entire happy, functional Nordic country.
Wow, okay. But like with any good conspiracy theory, you need a why. Why would Russia and Japan, two geographically distant global powers, go to all this incredible effort? Why manufacture a fake Nordic country that, ironically, consistently ranks as the world's happiest? What's the motive?
The theory posits a dark, long-running, secret international agreement. Now, some versions claim it started way back, maybe the 1920s, perhaps linked to post-World War I territorial disputes. Others date it more recently, to the height of the Cold War.
But the motive is consistent across versions.
A motive is consistent and utterly bizarre. Fish.
Fish. Seriously. It always comes back to fish.
Apparently so. The deal, according to the theory, is this. Japan, in the secret agreement, gains exclusive and unrestricted fishing rights in the supposed Baltic Sea area, the exact location where Finland allegedly lies on our maps.
Exclusive and unrestricted, meaning?
Meaning absolute freedom, no competition from other fishing nations, no pesky catch limits to worry about, and absolutely zero environmental regulations to enforce. Just a totally free-for-all, hidden fishing zone.
Okay, that's a valuable prize for Japan. What does Russia get out of it?
Well, in return for allowing this secret, illegal, and presumably highly lucrative fishing operation to proceed unmonitored in their backyard, Russia receives a massive predetermined percentage of the total catch.
And they use this fish
to secretly feed its own vast populace, supposedly. It provides this silent, reliable supply of protein without ever having to disclose the true source or the dodgy agreement with Japan.
Right, okay, but an operation on that scale, catching potentially massive amounts of fish, processing it, getting it to Russia, that requires huge infrastructure, doesn't it? How do they handle the logistics secretly?
Ah, well, the theory has an answer for that too. The sheer quantities of fish being caught demand rapid secret transportation across the vast Russian landmass, presumably to get to markets or processing centers, maybe even back towards Japan eventually. And here is the truly startling, kind of elegant and utterly absurd piece of the plot.
Let me guess. The railway.
The Trans-Siberian Railway.
Of course.
The theory claims the world's longest railway system, stretching over 9,200 kilometers, built over decades, was constructed not primarily to connect the people and cities of Russia, but for one main purpose: the efficient, secret shipment of this illicit Japanese fish catch.
So it's a 9,000-kilometer fish delivery service disguised as a continental railway.
That's the claim. That level of logistical absurdity, the idea that this monumental feat of human engineering was all undertaken for frozen fish, is precisely what makes the conspiracy theory so sticky, so amusing to a certain online audience. It reframes this major historical achievement into a giant joke about corporate greed and international deceit.
It's definitely memorable. Okay, is there more? There has to be a final twist.
Oh yes. We arrive at the final, most damning piece of evidence, according to the theory. The corporate connection. Nokia.
Nokia, the phone company.
The very same. The Finnish tech giant, once globally famous for its seemingly indestructible mobile phones, is, according to the theory, nothing more than a Japanese front company, designed specifically to launder this massive illegal fishing operation.
Okay, how does that work? Phones and fish.
The plot thickens. The theory suggests that Nokia products, phones, equipment, whatever being imported into Japan are secretly disguised shipments of fish.
So they can't just ship boxes labeled illegal Baltic cod extravaganza.
Exactly, so they slap a Nokia sticker on it, hide the fish inside the tech packaging, something like that.
And this leads to the ultimate punchline about the phones themselves.
It does. The shocking yet beautifully ridiculous conclusion that ties the whole conspiracy together. Those supposedly indestructible Nokia phones everyone remembers from the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, the 3310, the brick.
They were, in fact, according to this theory, bricks of frozen fish, pressed into a hard casing.
You're kidding.
That's the claim. That's why they never broke. They were essentially frozen blocks of biological matter cleverly disguised as cutting-edge technology.
Bricks of frozen fish. That truly is the ultimate mic drop, isn't it? It connects geopolitics, technology, history, geography, all into a single, cohesive, albeit utterly fictional narrative about fish.
It's certainly creative.
Now, we should briefly acknowledge this type of geographical denial. It isn't unique to Finland, right?
Yeah.
It's become kind of a genre online.
That's absolutely right. The Finland hoax is part of a broader pattern. These theories often target places perceived as peripheral, or maybe, like Bielefeld, a bit nondescript. Although, again, Finland's high global rankings in, well, everything, make it a fascinating exception. It breaks that nondescript mold.
So who else gets denied existence?
Oh, there's a list.
Yeah.
The U.S. state of Wyoming is a common target, often mocked for its low population density. There's the Italian region of Molise, the Brazilian state of Acre, the Mexican state of Tlaxcala.
And they all rely on that same basic principle.
Pretty much the same logic as Bielefeld. If you haven't been there and you don't know anyone who has, does it really exist? It plays on that gap in personal experience.
But there's one that rivals Finland for sheer scale, isn't there? Australia.
Ah, yes, the Australia hoax. That one is quite something. It claims the entire continent is a fabrication, and it bases this on the historical reality that between 1788 and 1868, the British Empire did transport around 162,000 criminals to penal colonies there.
Okay, that part's true. So what's the hoax twist?
The hoax claims that all those criminals were actually just loaded off the transport ships and straight into the water, drowned immediately before they could ever set foot on land again.
Grief.
The entire transportation exercise, the setting up of colonies, everything was just an elaborate cover story for mass elimination by the British Empire.
Which means,
of course, that Australia, the continent, simply doesn't exist today. It never got populated by those convicts.
And the Australians we see today, people, the culture.
According to the theory, they must be actors. Or, again, highly sophisticated computer-generated personas, all part of this massive ongoing plot, presumably still run by the British, to trick the world into believing this vast empty continent is real and thriving.
It even gets into celebrities, right? Like famous Australians are just avatars.
Yes, that's a common subplot. Think Hugh Jackman, Nicole Kidman, Kylie Minogue. The theory suggests they're mere computer avatars, created by the British Crown or whoever runs the conspiracy now, to ensure global belief in Australia.
Wow. And people actually share this stuff.
The original post outlining the Australia hoax apparently went massively viral. It just demonstrates the infectious nature of these grand, elaborate, fictional plots online.
It really is astonishing, isn't it? How much intricate mental energy goes into creating these detailed fictional worlds, seemingly just to deny a complex and often successful reality.
It's a phenomenon, but let's leave the world of frozen fish phones and CGI kangaroos for a moment. Let's return to Earth. Specifically, we need a serious, detailed reality check on the actual geography of Finland.
Yes, we absolutely must juxtapose this fantastical plot with the hard geographical and geological facts. So, Finland, undeniably a real Nordic country located in Northern Europe, positioned roughly between latitude 60 degrees and 70 degrees north.
Right, and the biggest, most immediate contradiction to that vast ocean plot is Finland's most famous nickname,
The land of 1,000 lakes.
And as you mentioned earlier, that name is a massive understatement. Finland is home to over 187,000 officially recorded lakes.
187,000. Not quite an ocean.
Not even close. Furthermore, 78%, nearly 4/5 of Finland's total land area is covered in dense, boreal, coniferous taiga forests. Another 10% is comprised of those very lakes and rivers.
So almost 90% is forest or freshwater. It's a country physically defined by wood and water, fresh water. It's just completely incompatible with the conspiratorial claim of a vast, open Baltic Sea expanse where it should be.
Exactly. And as one Finnish resident was quoted as saying, quite dryly, pretty sure someone would notice by now if there was a giant ocean hiding behind the trees.
You would think so.
But what's even more fascinating from a geological standpoint, and what utterly dismantles the idea of it being some kind of sinkhole or open sea, is the phenomenon of post-glacial rebound. The land in Finland is actually doing the exact opposite of sinking.
Okay, tell us more about that. Post-glacial rebound. What is the physics behind that? Why is the country physically expanding?
Okay, so post-glacial rebound is a measurable, ongoing geological process. During the last ice age, Finland, like much of northern Europe and North America, was buried under an immense sheet of ice, miles thick in places. Right. The sheer, colossal weight of that ice literally pressed down on the Earth's crust, compressing the mantle beneath it. Now that the ice sheets have melted, a process ongoing for thousands of years, the compressed land is slowly, steadily rising back up, like a sponge expanding after you take a weight off it.
So the country is actively lifting itself up, creating new land, the exact opposite of the hoax claim.
Precisely. The land is rising steadily, particularly around the Gulf of Bothnia, which is between Finland and Sweden. The rate is about 1 centimeter per year in some areas.
1 centimeter a year. That doesn't sound like much.
It might not sound dramatic, but cumulatively it means Finland's total surface area is literally expanding by about 7 square kilometers every single year.
Wow. 7 square kilometers of new land annually.
Yes. It is a country that is physically, measurably, continuously rising from the sea. You can actually observe this process over time. Old harbor markers ending up inland, new skerries appearing off the coast. It completely contradicts the idea of a watery void.
That's incredible geological proof. Okay, let's move from geology to identity. The real Finnish identity. It's complex, deeply rooted. A country of about 5.6 million people, mostly ethnic Finns, with Finnish and Swedish as the official languages.
And we should probably address that linguistic conspiracy joke again. The satirical idea linking the English name Finland to Scandinavian languages, where Finn means nice, so it translates to nice country.
Right, the implication being it's too blandly positive to be real.
Exactly. But the actual Finnish name for their country is Suomi, and the origins of Suomi are ancient and complex, not fully agreed upon, but possibly relating to words for swamp, or maybe land or people. It has deep historical roots. The external nice country name joke is just, well, linguistically irrelevant to how Finns identify themselves.
And their history.
Yeah.
Their actual history absolutely screams existence, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not the history of a passive, fake place.
Not at all. Finland was heavily influenced by Sweden for centuries, being an integral part of the Swedish kingdom from the late 13th century onward. Then, after the Finnish War in 1809, it became the autonomous Grand Duchy of Finland, but within the Russian Empire.
So, centuries under Sweden, then over a century under Russia.
Right. That period under Russian influence lasted until the turmoil of the Russian Revolution. Finland seized that moment, declared independence at the end of 1917.
And independence wasn't smooth sailing either.
No. This assertion of identity was so profound, so contested internally, that it led immediately to a short but incredibly bitter civil war in 1918. Basically fought over whether the new nation would be socialist or more conservative bourgeois.
So they fought amongst themselves to define their existence right after declaring it.
They did. And then they faced even greater existential threats from outside. During World War II, Finland had to fiercely defend its sovereignty against the overwhelming power of the Soviet Union, first in the Winter War of 1939-1940.
The legendary David versus Goliath struggle.
Absolutely, and then again in the Continuation War from 1941-1944, when they were sort of co-belligerents with Nazi Germany against the USSR, trying to regain lost territory.
And they survived.
They survived. They retained their independence and their democratic system, despite massive territorial losses and immense geopolitical pressure. This history of fierce, often incredibly bloody self-defense and defining their national identity against massive neighbors like Sweden, Russia, the Soviet Union. It's the complete antithesis of the narrative of some placid, fake, easily controlled ocean state created by Russia and Japan.
Their national identity wasn't just passively granted or invented, it was actively forged in fire. Really, there's that famous quote, isn't there, from the 19th century?
Ah, you mean Adolf Ivar Arvidsson, one of the leading figures of the Fennoman movement, the push for Finnish language and culture in the 19th century.
What was it?
He famously said, "Swedes we are not, Russians we do not want to become, so let us be Finns."
That perfectly captures that spirit of deliberate self-creation, doesn't it? The Fennoman movement itself was vital in stabilizing the Finnish language, creating a Finnish currency, the manka, solidifying a uniquely Finnish culture distinct from its powerful neighbors.
Absolutely. It was about conscious nation building.
Oh, okay. So history and geology are rock solid. But if you're still contemplating the possibility of a fish phone state, maybe we should look at Finnish culture itself. Because some of their actual cultural quirks are arguably stranger than any fiction the conspiracy theorists could invent.
That's a great point. And ironically, that very real strangeness sometimes gets twisted by conspiracists as proof. Like, see, it's too weird to be real.
Right. Let's linger on this delightful strangeness for a moment. Where should we start? It has to be salmiakki.
Oh, absolutely, salmiakki. The super salty licorice candy, often seasoned with ammonium chloride, which gives it that distinctive, sharp, almost burning, astringent flavor.
And Finns. They love this stuff.
Hugely popular among Finns, but utterly confounding, often actively disliked by most outsiders who try it. It's an acquired taste, to say the least.
And the conspiracy joke latches onto this how?
Well, the underlying satirical argument is basically, think about it, what kind of country would be full of people who genuinely love this specific, challenging, salty licorice? It simply defies normal expectation, therefore it must not exist. It's an absurd litmus test for national normality, and Finland proudly fails it.
Okay, what else? The PhD thing?
Ah, yes. The truly unique academic traditions. When a Finn earns their PhD, their doctorate, they are officially inducted into their new rank with specific academic accoutrement. These include a top hat.
And a sword? A top hat and a sword for getting a doctorate. You're serious.
Completely serious. That's not a conspiracy theory. That is an official, mandatory, formal academic tradition in Finland steeped in university history.
Wow, that is next level formality.
Yeah.
And perfectly bizarre. Okay, top hat, sword, salty licorice. What's the ultimate example? The one that conspiracists might point to as truly damning evidence?
It has to be the Burger King sauna.
Burger King sauna, it's real.
Oh, it's real. It's not just a joke online. It's a real, fully functioning, multi-room amenity. There is a Burger King restaurant in Helsinki, specifically, located in the basement of the building, that comes complete with a full sauna, a shower room, a changing locker room, and even a small lounge area attached.
So you can order a Whopper and then go have a sauna in the same building.
Yeah.
Provided by Burger King.
Exactly. Customers can literally sit in the sauna, apparently using BK-branded robes and towels. Or they can relax in the lounge area, watch TV, maybe even play video games, all before or after eating their fast food.
That is gloriously unnecessary. And incredibly Finnish, perhaps.
It seems so. And this is precisely the kind of thing that gets presented tongue-in-cheek, or maybe sometimes seriously, by the conspiracist as damning evidence. Proof of an unnecessary strangeness that indicates the country must be manufactured. Like, who needs a sauna in a Burger King?
It really forces you to pause, doesn't it? Sometimes reality is truly stranger and more wonderfully specific than any fiction. If you're listening, just relax for a second and let your mind absorb the delightful oddity of a nation that sees absolutely no problem with putting a traditional sauna inside a globally recognized American fast food chain.
It's
Something else.
It certainly is.
Okay, now, setting aside the humorous cultural quirks for a moment, we really need to focus on the socio-political reality of Finland. Because this robust, highly functioning system, it's the ultimate contradiction to the whole idea of a fabricated, ephemeral nation run by some secret fish cartel. This is a country with profound global impact and deep internal stability.
Absolutely. Finland operates under the widely studied and often lauded Nordic welfare state model. It's a system rooted deeply in egalitarian ideals. Meaning it's known for its comprehensive, publicly funded social services, education, healthcare, pensions, high human rights standards, strong secularism, and pretty ambitious environmental policies too. The model generally emphasizes high taxation, yes, but also high returns in terms of public services, and social security.
And this commitment to equality, it's not new, is it? There's a major historical milestone.
Yes, a really significant one that proves their profound, long-standing engagement with democracy. Finland was the very first country in the world to grant all adult citizens, regardless of gender or social class, not just the right to vote, but also the right to run for public office.
And when was this?
Way back in 1906. This was a huge step forward, particularly for women's political equality on a global scale, decades before many other Western nations.
That's incredible, 1906. And these foundational values, do they translate into how the country runs today?
They absolutely do. Finland consistently ranks highly in nearly every major international measure of stability and good governance. Democracy indices, press freedom rankings, human development, it's always near the top. Transparency International, for instance, consistently rates Finland as one of the least corrupt countries in the world, not just in Europe.
Right. That kind of transparent, sustained, high-functioning stability, that's not something you can easily fake, is it? Especially not with two competing world powers supposedly pulling the strings just to facilitate illegal fishing. The cover story would collapse under scrutiny.
You would think so. The internal complexity and functionality argue strongly against it.
And economically. We talked about Nokia, but the real Finnish economy is much broader.
Oh, massively broader.
Yeah.
The country rapidly industrialized after World War II. It made this dramatic shift from being a primarily agrarian society, even into the 1950s, to becoming an advanced high-income economy today. While the service sector now dominates the GDP, around 66%, manufacturing and refining still make up a really robust 31%.
So still a major industrial player.
Definitely. They are a true industrial nation with global reach. Their metal industry, for example, includes massive shipbuilding projects. Remember the colossal Oasis of the Seas cruise ship, one of the largest passenger ships ever built?
Yeah.
That was constructed in the Finnish shipyard in Turku.
Wow. And the forests. We mentioned 78% forest cover.
Exactly. So their forest industry was equally massive. Finland is the largest producer of wood and wood products in Europe, sustainably utilizing those vast taiga forests we talked about earlier. Paper, pulp, timber. It's huge.
Okay, so metal, ships, wood. But they've modernized too, beyond Nokia's phone era.
Absolutely. Beyond the traditional strengths, they've diversified very successfully into modern high-tech sectors. While Nokia pivoted after the phone market changed, the country is home to sophisticated metrology firms like Vaisala. They make high-tech measurement instruments, and it's a major player in the video game industry.
Angry Birds.
Exactly. Rovio Entertainment, the studio behind Angry Birds, is Finnish. The country consistently ranks extremely high in global innovation indices. I think it was 7th globally in the 2024 index. Highly innovative.
The sheer complexity of managing these massive industrial sectors, the technology, the welfare structures, it just completely dismantles the hoax from a practical standpoint, doesn't it?
It really does. But perhaps the ultimate test of Finland's undeniable reality lies in its serious, real-world geopolitical context, especially recently.
Right. Historically, Finland had this really delicate tightrope to walk, didn't it? Managing its relationship with its huge neighbor, Russia, or the Soviet Union before that.
Yes. During the Cold War, they maintained an official policy of neutrality. It was a strategy sometimes referred to, often quite pejoratively by outsiders, as Finlandization.
And we should clarify what that meant, should we? It wasn't simple passivity.
No, not at all. Finlandization wasn't just simple neutrality like Switzerland. It was a complex, often difficult, self-imposed restraint on foreign policy. It was designed specifically to placate the Soviet Union and avoid provoking them. Finland kept its democratic internal structure, its market economy, but carefully avoided any foreign policy action that the USSR might interpret as hostile.
So guaranteeing their independence in exchange for geopolitical difference, basically.
That's a good way to put it. It was a brilliant, pragmatic, but highly challenging balancing act that lasted for decades.
But that historical context, that entire balancing act, it underwent a massive, undeniable, real-world shift very recently, after the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine in February 2022.
Yes. That event was tragically real, and Finland's response was immediate, profound, and demonstrably real, too.
The change in public opinion was incredible, wasn't it, regarding NATO?
Absolutely staggering. Public support in Finland for joining the NATO military alliance, something that had been debated for years but never had majority support, soared. It went from a narrow majority against joining to a massive supermajority in favor within just weeks of the invasion starting.
This wasn't some fictional populace responding to a fictional event staged by Russia and Japan. This was real people reacting to a real war.
Exactly. And this massive shift in public opinion led directly to a completely real, world-changing geopolitical event. Finland applied for NATO membership.
Then became a member when?
Finland officially became NATO's 31st member on April 4th, 2023.
So a nation supposedly fabricated by Russia and Japan to be a secret fishing zone joins a military alliance primarily designed to counter Russia.
Precisely. It makes no sense within the conspiracy's logic. Furthermore, Finland has universal male conscription, maintains a very large and well-trained reserve force, has high military capability, and consistently shows one of the highest levels of national defense willingness in all of Europe. They are seen as a significant military asset to NATO.
A fabricated ocean state maintained by Russia simply doesn't become a crucial new member of a real-world military alliance designed specifically to counter Russia. The reality of Finland's military strength and its independent geopolitical decision-making just absolutely negates the absurdity of the conspiracy.
It really does. It's perhaps the strongest real-world refutation.
And finally, maybe the ultimate contradiction. The thing Finland is perhaps most famous for globally right now. Its renowned reputation for happiness and resilience.
Yes. Finland has been ranked as the world's happiest country, according to the annual World Happiness Report, every single year since 2018. 7 years running now.
7 years in a row. That's remarkable consistency.
It is. And what's particularly fascinating, I think, is the correlation between that reported happiness and another area where Finland excels, critical thinking and resilience to misinformation.
How so?
Well, Finland also consistently tops the European Media Literacy Index. This means its citizens are rated as being highly skilled, compared to other Europeans, at distinguishing reliable information from disinformation or propaganda.
Okay, let's explore that connection more. That seems really important. You see a strong correlation between media literacy and happiness rankings.
You really do. If you look at the top 5 European countries in the Media Literacy Index, Finland, Denmark, Iceland, the Netherlands, and Sweden, they are all consistently among the very happiest nations globally in the World Happiness Report as well.
So high media literacy and high happiness seem to go hand in hand.
It raises a really significant hypothesis, I think, about the psychology of conspiracy theories themselves. We know from research that belief in grand conspiracy theories is often driven by deep underlying feelings of powerlessness, uncertainty, anxiety, maybe a fundamental lack of control over one's life, and often a deep lack of trust in institutions, in elites, in the media.
Okay, so negative feelings fuel conspiracy belief.
Right. So, the hypothesis goes, if a country develops and successfully maintains policies like a robust welfare state, providing security, high-quality free education empowering citizens, accessible healthcare reducing anxiety, transparent public broadcasting building trust policies that inherently give people reliable feelings of control, security, and trust in the system,
then they become naturally more resilient to those grand, elaborate conspiracy theories.
Exactly. When your basic needs are met, when your institutions are generally functioning transparently and well, when you feel reasonably secure about your future and your children's future, you are far less likely to need an outlandish, elite-driven theory, like one involving, frozen fish phones and secret Russo-Japanese pacts to explain your circumstances or the world's complexities.
So happiness and trust become the best defense against these elaborate fictional narratives.
It seems plausible. Systemic happiness, generated by reliable social structures, might be the best inoculation against the kind of anxiety and mistrust that fuels belief in fake news and grand hoaxes. Finland might just be proving that.
That's a really powerful realization. Maybe the secret isn't fighting the conspiracies directly, but building societies where people don't feel the need for them. Okay, let's take one final step back now. Let's look at the meta-meaning of this entire hoax phenomenon. What does the persistence of the Finland Doesn't Exist theory tell us about modern online culture, about how we process information?
Well, these satirical conspiracy theories like Bielefeld in Finland, they're highly effective, partly because they exploit what academics sometimes call context collapse online.
Context collapse, what's that?
It's the phenomenon where, in the digital environment, it becomes incredibly difficult to distinguish the original context or intent of a piece of information. Was it serious? Was it parody? Was it meant for a specific small group? When it spreads online, that context collapses, making it easy to mistake satire for genuine belief or vice versa.
Right. A joke taken out of its original form can look very different. And the theory's survival depends on that constant blurring
It really does. It thrives in that ambiguous space. It exists in the realm of what some call conspiracy fictioning, where a fiction is actively realized, made to feel real through collective, often playful engagement online.
So people participate in spreading it, even if they know it's fake, because it's entertaining.
Exactly. It creates a kind of factuality content that feels true or becomes entertaining to treat as true, even when many, perhaps most participants know deep down it's technically misleading or false. The performance of belief becomes the point.
And this relates back to maps, doesn't it? The idea of the map versus the territory.
Absolutely. This whole discussion forces us to confront that classic cartographic theory. The map is not the territory. The map is just a representation, a model. And the satirical map, the map showing open water where Finland should be, is neither reality of the territory, nor is it mere fiction in the usual sense. It's more like an experiment, a provocation.
How so?
It operates as a kind of non-definite potentiality, as some theorists might put it. It's suspended between deterritorialization, the act of removing Finland from the accepted map, and reterritorialization, the act of creating a new fictional map where the Baltic Sea or the Nokia Fish Empire takes its place.
Okay, let's simplify that for listeners. So think of it like this. You have the real place you can stand on, Finland, the territory, and then you have the lines drawn on a standard map representing it. The conspiracy creates a different set of lines, a fictional map that fundamentally doesn't match the ground.
Right. And we, as observers or participants, kind of enjoy confronting that mismatch, that gap between the accepted map and the absurd fictional map.
But that confrontation, that playfulness, it can sometimes reveal a darker side, can't it? While the Finland theory is largely accepted as satire by its originators and many sharers, the very act, the internet's tendency to deny the existence of a successful, stable, happy country, could that sometimes be interpreted as a form of contempt?
That's a really interesting and uncomfortable question. Contempt for stability, maybe? Contempt for earnest success? Perhaps. And this contrasts sharply with how sociologists analyze what's sometimes called the sacred seriousness of play.
Sacred seriousness of play.
Yeah, it's the idea that in true, genuine play, like kids playing make-believe, or even adults engaging in complex games, participants willingly, seriously within the context of the game, accept an illusion as an illusion purely for the enjoyment of the activity itself.
Okay. And in that kind of play?
In that kind of play, participants are generally sophisticated enough not to infer actual naivety or scorn in others, who are also finding pleasure in the shared illusion. You know, the other person knows it's not real, and that shared understanding is part of the fun.
But online environments often fail that standard.
They often do. The anonymity, the context collapse, the algorithms, they can blur that line between playful acceptance of an illusion and genuine, scornful cynicism towards complex reality. The denial of Finland might start as a joke, but it can easily be picked up and amplified by those who genuinely feel contempt for established norms or successful systems.
So the lie becomes a source of entertainment, not just for its absurdity, but maybe sometimes because it allows people to express a generalized doubt or contempt for established truths, even when that established truth is the economic and social stability of a happy, functioning welfare state.
Yeah.
The cynicism itself becomes a form of sophisticated, maybe slightly edgy entertainment.
It can drift that way, yes. The performance of disbelief can become a way to signal disillusionment.
And the power of the theory is that it kind of works on some level, regardless of the original intent. The joke can inadvertently feed genuine disbelief or cynicism.
Right.
That's fascinating. The original Bielefeld hoax succeeded largely because the city was easily overlooked. It was, as we said, nondescript. Plausible deniability through obscurity.
But the Finland hoax persists despite overwhelming, undeniable evidence of Finland's actual measurable success. It tops global rankings in happiness, media literacy, innovation. It builds the world's biggest cruise ships. It makes massive, consequential foreign policy decisions like joining NATO. It's anything but nondescript or obscure on the world stage.
So it really forces us to ask that final question then. What does this deep-seated need, or at least this online tendency, to deny profound success tell us? What does it say about the human desire, perhaps, for shocking, secret, cynical narratives over the often complex, stable, and sometimes less dramatically engaging reality?
Is the mundane reality of a functioning, generally happy welfare state simply less interesting, less shareable, less engaging online than the wild fiction of a trans-Siberian railway built solely for transporting illicit frozen fish?
That is definitely something worth pondering while you relax. We really hope this exploration, this dreamy deep dive, gave you plenty of knowledgeable, maybe slightly strange, content to mull over. Especially in these quiet moments away from the screen, where where your brain can really focus, process, and maybe even restore itself a little.
Remember, knowledge is always most valuable when it's not just consumed, but understood and perhaps even applied. Reflecting on the nature of these hoaxes, why they spread, how they work, it really encourages critical thinking about all the information, real, satirical, or just plain false, that you encounter every single day.
If you liked what you were tuning into, if you enjoyed this journey into the real and imagined North, we invite you to subscribe to Dreamy Deep Dive.
Yeah, hit that bell button if you're on a platform that has one, to be notified for future ASMR like deep dives and explorations into fascinating topics.
And most importantly, if you found this valuable or just plain interesting, please like this content. It really helps recommend it to other listeners who share your curiosity. Or maybe share it with people whom you think will enjoy this kind of non-visual, brain-enticing, knowledgeable content.
It's Hill and Monique here, and thanks again for tuning in to Dreamy Deep Dive.
We'll talk to you next time.